Have you ever done everything right as a believer prayed, stayed faithful, tried to think positive, worked hard, and still felt like money keeps slipping through your fingers like sand? Like there's an invisible ceiling over your life that you can't break. No matter how much you hustle, no matter how many sermons you listen to, no matter how many times you tell yourself, God will provide? If that question hits you in the chest, don't scroll, because what I'm about to say is going to sound impossible. And that's exactly why it matters. I didn't plan on posting this. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a prophet. I'm not here to argue denominations. And I'm not selling anything. I'm just shaken. Like the kind of shaken you feel when something happens that doesn't fit inside your normal, reasonable world. 7 days ago, I started reading one Bible verse, Deuteronomy 8:18, once a day, every morning. That's it. Not a whole chapter. Not a 40-minute study. One verse, one moment, one decision. I'm going to stop begging and start aligning, because that verse doesn't just mention money. It mentions power. It says God gives you the power to get wealth, not luck, not begging, not guilt, power. And I need you to hear me. I'm not claiming a magic spell. I'm not saying, do this and you'll get rich overnight. I hate that hype, but I can't ignore what happened next. This morning, like normal, I opened my banking app. Same routine, same phone, same quiet house. And I saw a deposit that made my stomach drop. $7,777. Exactly $7,777. Clean, perfect, like someone stamped it there on purpose. I sat there staring at the screen, waiting for it to change, waiting for the app to refresh and correct itself. It didn't. My hands literally started sweating. I checked my email. Nothing. I checked payments. Nothing familiar. I checked again. Still there. Now, before your brain jumps to conclusions, it's a refund. It's a mistake. It's a scam. I thought the same thing. That's why I'm making this video. Not to hype you. To walk you through the process step by step, honestly and clearly, so you can decide what you believe. Because what I realized isn't about a random number. It's about a divine pattern, a spiritual breakthrough, a biblical activation, a shift where faith stops being something you say and starts becoming something you operate. Here's what I need you to do right now, because this is where the algorithm meets the spiritual. If you've been stuck financially, if you've been praying but still living in pressure, comment one sentence. I'm ready for God's pattern. Don't overthink it. Just type it. Because there is something that happens when you stop consuming and start participating. And if you've ever wondered about money manifestation, not as a new age gimmick, but as alignment with biblical prosperity principles, stay with me, because Deuteronomy 8:18 is not a motivational quote. It's a key. Also, this matters. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Texas? Florida? New York? The Midwest? I want to see how many people are feeling this pull at the same time, because what I'm about to share isn't just a story. It's a sequence, a pattern I followed for 7 days, and each day something in my mind, my emotions, and my expectation shifted. And when expectation shifts, behavior shifts. When behavior shifts, decisions shift. And when decisions shift, outcomes start moving. So here's the question that changes everything. What if you've been asking God for money, but ignoring the power He already put inside you to create it? In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly what I did each morning with Deuteronomy 8:18, what I spoke, what I stopped doing, what I started noticing, and why it felt less like trying harder and more like stepping into a divine pattern that was waiting the whole time. If you came here because something inside you is tired of surface-level answers, if you're looking for real change, real understanding, and not just another motivational clip, take 1 second and tap like now. Not for me, but because this simple action helps this message reach people who are quietly desperate for clarity, direction, and breakthrough, just like you might be. Don't leave the video. Don't break the flow. Just tap like and stay with me, because what's coming next only makes sense if you're truly present. 7 days ago, I was at my lowest point, and I don't mean that in a dramatic way. I mean the kind of low that feels very normal, very American, very quiet. Rent was overdue, the kind of overdue where you stop opening emails. My car was making that sound you pretend not to hear because you already know what it means. Bills were stacking faster than checks were coming in, and every notification on my phone felt like another reminder that effort didn't seem to equal progress anymore. I was exhausted, but not just physically. I was tired of praying without visible change, tired of staying positive without results, tired of feeling like I was doing everything right while still living on the edge. I had tried all the responsible things: budgeting apps, spreadsheets, cutting subscriptions, skipping small pleasures. I had refreshed job boards late at night, sent resumes into what felt like a black hole, joined prayer circles, watched motivational videos about mindset and discipline, even told myself that maybe this struggle was building character, but nothing actually moved the needle. Spiritually, financially, emotionally, I felt stuck in the same loop. And that stuck feeling is dangerous because it slowly convinces you that this is just how life is going to be. That morning, I didn't open the Bible looking for a miracle. There was no dramatic music moment, no expectation of a spiritual breakthrough. It was more like muscle memory, something I did out of habit because I didn't know what else to do. And then my eyes landed on Deuteronomy 8:18 in a way they never had before. Not as a comforting verse, not as a distant promise, but as a statement that felt uncomfortably direct. God gives you the power to get wealth. Power, not charity, not survival. Power. That word lingered in my mind longer than it should have, especially given everything I was dealing with: debt pressure, financial stress, and that quiet fear of falling behind for good. Something about it felt different, not emotional, not hype-driven, just precise. Like it was pointing to a missing piece in how I had been thinking about God and money, faith and responsibility, prayer and action. I didn't understand it yet, but I could feel that this wasn't about asking harder. It was about seeing something I had missed. And that question stayed with me all day, following me through work, through traffic, through every anxious thought about bills and deadlines, setting up what came next. The verse says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." And I remember reading it slowly, almost annoyed, because it didn't say what I wanted it to say. It didn't talk about blessings falling, or sudden favor, or money arriving without effort. It didn't sound comforting. It sounded confrontational. Not blessings, not luck, not wishful hope. It said ability. And that single word hit me harder than the entire passage ever had before, because ability implies responsibility. It implies function. It implies something active, not passive. I started digging deeper because I needed to understand what that word actually meant. In the original Hebrew, the word translated as ability is koach, and koach doesn't mean chance or fortune. It means activated capacity, force, strength in motion, a kind of divine energy placed inside a human being for a purpose. Not something God drops on you from the outside, but something He deposits within you, waiting to be turned on. That realization was uncomfortable because it challenged how I had been approaching God and money my entire life. Most people read Bible verses hoping for external rescue. They want provision to appear, debts to disappear, pressure to lift without inner change. But this verse wasn't about receiving at all. It was about activation. It wasn't a promise of money falling from the sky. It was a revelation that there is a divine power already embedded in you, designed to produce, create, and multiply. And if that power isn't producing, it's not because God withheld it. It's because it hasn't been activated. That reframed everything. My struggle with debt, my financial stress, my spiritual frustration suddenly felt less like punishment and more like misalignment. What if I had been praying for outcomes while ignoring the mechanism? What if biblical prosperity was never meant to be passive, but participatory? That thought wouldn't let me go. It followed me as I reread the verse again and again, each time feeling like it was peeling back another layer, preparing me for what I was about to do next. Here's exactly what I did next, and I want to be very clear, because simplicity is what makes this powerful. There were no shortcuts, no rituals, nothing mystical or strange. Just focus, intention, and consistency. For the next 7 days, I committed to the same routine every single morning. I woke up earlier than usual, Before checking my phone, before emails, before news, before social media. That part mattered more than I expected, because distraction kills awareness, and awareness is where activation starts. In those quiet minutes, my mind wasn't already full of fear, comparison, or financial stress. I opened my Bible and read Deuteronomy 8:18 out loud, not silently, out loud. I didn't rush it, and I didn't dramatize it either. I just read it slowly, letting each word land. And here's something most people underestimate. Your voice matters. Speaking creates alignment between thought, emotion, and reality. It's not about volume or performance. It's about engagement. When you hear yourself say the words, they stop being theory and start becoming instruction. After reading the verse, I said one simple sentence, the same way each morning. God, I receive and activate this ability to produce wealth. Guide my steps and open the way. That was it. No money seeds, no donations, no courses, no affirmations marathon. Just me, the word, and a clear request for activation, not rescue. I didn't ask for money to appear. I asked for guidance, clarity, and movement. And then I went on with my day. What surprised me wasn't an instant financial breakthrough, but an internal shift. My thinking around work, decisions, and opportunities started to sharpen. I noticed ideas I would have ignored before. Conversations felt different. I felt less desperate and more grounded, like something had been switched on. And that routine stayed the same every morning for 7 days, quietly setting the stage for what happened next. Day 1 came and went with nothing obvious. And honestly, that tested me more than I expected. No alerts, no emails, no sudden relief. Just the same bills, the same pressure, the same reality. Day 2 was subtle, almost easy to dismiss if I wasn't paying attention. A small, unexpected refund hit my account for $137. Not life-changing, not dramatic, but enough to make me pause. Day 3, an old client I hadn't spoken to in months reached out with a job opportunity, casually, like it was nothing, even though it landed exactly when I needed it. Day 4, another refund showed up for something I completely forgot I had canceled, $147.77. The numbers caught my attention before the money did. Day 5, my mom sent me help without explanation, without me asking, just saying she felt prompted to do it. Day 6, I reached into an old jacket I hadn't worn in months and found cash folded in the pocket, like a quiet reminder that provision doesn't always announce itself. And then Day 7 happened. I opened my banking app the same way I had every morning that week, not expecting anything special, and there it was, $7,777. No notification, no explanation, no email, just sitting there. I remember checking the timestamp, refreshing the screen, closing the app and reopening it, because my brain refused to accept it. This wasn't about hype or chasing signs. It was about recognizing a pattern forming in real time, not magic, not chance. Something had opened, something had shifted. Maybe it was alignment, maybe it was divine law, maybe it was God honoring obedience. Or maybe it was the moment I stopped operating from fear and started trusting a biblical principle I had ignored my whole life. I'm not here to promise miracles. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to show you a spiritual money story that follows a pattern-specific numbers, real timestamps, and a clear activation process. This wasn't money falling from the sky. It was provision moving through unexpected channels once something inside me changed. If you've ever felt stuck while everyone else seems to move forward, if you've been praying about debt, searching for biblical prosperity, wondering how God and money actually connect, pay attention to what this is stirring in you right now. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. If this resonates, type "I'm ready" in the comments. If you've been struggling financially, comment "I'm activating my ability." And if this story feels uncomfortably familiar, comment "This isn't coincidence." Don't overthink it. Engagement isn't about the algorithm alone. It's about declaring where you stand before what comes next. If this stirred something inside you, if you felt that quiet pull in your chest that says this is for me, do 3 things right now, and do them with intention, not later, not when the video ends. First, go to the comments and write DAY1, followed by your biggest financial need. Be specific: rent, debt, a job, peace. I'll personally read as many as I can, because this isn't just content. It's a moment of alignment, and saying it out loud matters more than you think. Second, share this with one person who feels stuck right now. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, right now. Someone who's tired of praying without movement. Someone questioning why they work so hard and still struggle. You might be the confirmation they've been asking God for. Third, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Not because of numbers, but because what we're building here is a community that understands biblical prosperity, spiritual activation, and real-world transformation. You're not alone in this. We rise together, and momentum multiplies when people move in the same direction. And stay with me, because in the next video, I'm going to reveal why God doesn't delay prosperity by accident, and the one real reason most people never receive it, even when they're faithful. If you want that breakthrough, stay tuned.